Saluda, North Carolina. Home of the steepest railroad grade that was in operation in the American railroad system. Standard grade, you know, without any kind of modifications. None of that cogwheel bullshit that you see like on Pikes Peak. So none of that. Right? This line is no longer in service. It's out of service in 2001. You see down the tracks over here, you see all kinds of foliage and coverage on the track. This line was in service, like I said, until 2001, operated by Norfolk Southern. It connected Spartanburg, South Carolina, to Asheville, North Carolina. I've been itching to get here for a minute, and we finally made it up. The road up through Tryon, up into Saluda, primo road. Absolutely primo. If you're in the area,
ride it.
Ride
it's good.
Every day, freaking ride it every day.
If you come up here only to ride the road, you might want to go up and back a few times.
Like a lot. Like fill up your gas tank and then run until the tank is in. Let's take a walk up here real quick. Another gym right here. Thompson's Grocery Market and Ward's Grill since 1960. Also says since 1890. Not sure which is which, but it says it's the oldest grocery store in North Carolina. Another item of note, the line was built in 1870. They surveyed a ton of different locations to try to build the railroad in the site. The tracks have a maximum grade of 4.9% with an average grade of about 4.6%. Now we're inside of the grocery store. Talking about the town and the railroad. RC Cola tastes better with a moon pie. They got vanilla and banana and chocolate. They got all, and the RC Cola, man. Holy cow.
Toe jam.
Hope you guys can see that good. Saluda grade, steepest standard grade, mainline railroadway in the United States. Opened in 1878. 3 mile long, and this is the highest point. This is where it crests, right here. It's just overrun with foliage. I mean, they have not taken care of it at all at this point. I mean, they stopped spraying for, you know, pesticides and whatnot. They stopped spraying all of that stuff 2015. It's sad to see such an accomplishment, such a marvel of American ingenuity and engineering without the aid of computers, just built by men, muscle, human ingenuity, to fall into disrepair. But sign of the times, economic progression. So here we are on top of a bridge over the railroad. A couple of lines here. You got a little spur off there to the left in the distance. But this was the top of the grade. This is where it crested. You just kind of see over it. See the town off there, down in the distance a little bit. This little building, they had different posts up and down the grade where people would be stationed in case the train had some trouble, if it turned into any kind of runway. At one point in time, they had the equivalent of pilots, you know, guys that knew the line like the back of their hand, and they were responsible for bringing trains up and down safely. The engineer would relinquish command of his train to one of these guys that knew this line, and they would bring it up and then they would give it back. So, you know, kind of like a harbor pilot, what you see in different, you know, ports out on the ocean. Not sure if this shack has anything to do with that or not.
I think it's stuck.
Yeah, it's stuck.
And this is set back in the 50s. So you see right there, that's like right down there.
Okay.
And then now it's moved up in beside the first brick building. Right.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
And then it shows as the train goes through town, at the end of the street down here, the curve, that's where the descent starts. And it descends 5% to 3.5 miles. So because the city they can have it, but they have to relocate it. So one man had this property, another man had the money to really move it, the city didn't. So they moved it here, and it was retail for many, many years. And then probably about 7 years ago, the last person that was in here, she retired, and it was actually on the market for sale. And
Yeah, it's one of your runaway spurs.
And a group of citizens just got together to make it into a museum. We decided we needed to save it and keep the history going around here. And when you can, I'm gonna ask you, you know, I don't even know that. That's a good question too. So, and then and this is the 3-mile stretch down to what we call Melrose. And if you get a chance, if you're gonna stay in the area someday, well, before you leave, when you go out of town, the first road to your right is Pearson Falls Road.
Good.
And it's just the 3 miles. And if you drive down Pearson Falls, you're following the grade going down. And actually, there's Pearson Falls, a waterfall park that's like probably about right in here. And you
So,
just and this road will take you out to 176, and you can just follow it on down to Columbus and get back on 26.
And that's going back this way?
Yeah, yeah.
No.
A measure of steepness, rail grades, 1% representing 1 foot elevation change in 100 linear feet. The rails rose 5 feet for each 100 linear feet of track. So that defines grade right there.
So then the safety tracks are put in place, they don't lose no more lives.
But before that, there were,
27.
yeah, there was a picture over here of one of the derails.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that? Yeah. But this line was Norfolk Southern, I think, on this line. Here's pictures of them moving the building. We've seen this engine a couple of times. That's the big boy. The 48884. The articulating. 1903. Old train locks. So this lady in the little train depot place told us about this cool road that travels down around the tracks a little bit. Whoa. Is this gravel and dirt the whole way?
Yeah, probably supposed to.
What do you want to do? So this is a gravel-ish, dirt-ish road. Gotta watch the bike today anyway. Some roads in life you can only experience this way. Yeah, that goes underneath it. I'm behind you. I'm good. Look at this. We're right next to this river right here. And that guy has a wonderful location.
Yeah, if we could just come the other way, we could all want asphalt. That's what you want to picture of?
We made it down here to another location on the Saluda grade. This is one of the emergency runoff tracks. You can see the main line down here, and I mean, it's all covered in foliage and trees and everything. But this other line up here, which is, you know, got a slope to it, is your emergency runoff line in case the train was coming down and it was out of control. As I'm in between two different tracks right here. Here's your main line track right there. Kind of hard to see with all the foliage. Over here are some offshoots, some sidings, and it's just covered. I mean, I walked over there a little bit, but it's just covered. Old signal gear comes back into the siding. They had engines down at the bottom and at the top to help pull and push heavy trains and sidings to split it up. And we're probably looking at one of the areas where they split big trains into little trains to drag them up. You can see these two lines are coming back together to a switch point up here. See these bars next to the track. I'm guessing they're part of the signaling apparatus. I mean, it looks like they have some airlines coming to them. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research. I'm not really sure what that is. All right, here's the switch off into the siding. We can go up a little bit further. Dense layer of foliage right here, super dense. Look at that old fuel tank. Some buildings. These are some of the sheds and shacks that were part of this line. So these are just buildings, protect the guys from the elements. Here's an old building that's part of the railroad, you know, more modern wires and everything. It's all been gutted. I'm walking through this huge foliage. Holy crap, I don't know what kind of leaves these are. Following a path that somebody else has followed a little bit. See some tracks. There we go, almost tripped. Made it back to the line. Rocks back on the ballast right here. Old signal, some lights. Defend Pisgah. It looks like this is a commonly walked path. Lots of trampling right here. This is something somebody does, and I'm a new somebody. And here we are on the bridge. We're not going to go too much further. Curious what's around the next bend. Oh yeah, this is going to be worth it, guys. Right here. Look at that. There's the river that Blue and I were snaking around. And there it is, rolling underneath me. This is twobluefred from the Saluda mountain grade, the steepest railroad mainline grade in the United States, currently in a state of major disrepair. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, freaking ride every day.